Hi, it's me, Vicky Marie. Sorry, I'm just trying to turn something off there. So, this is my rant of the day, and I'm combining it with, well, the reason that I'm ranting is combined with a case as well that a member, one of my members, sort of mentioned to me. And this is the case of Oakley Carlson. Now, I didn't know anything about this case. So there's a couple of things that I'm sort of going to be ranting about this case. Apart from the fact it's a beautiful little 5-year-old girl who's gone missing. Maybe the reason I haven't, I do try and avoid child cases, but it gets more and more difficult because there's always awful things happening. But here she is. This is Oakley Carlson. Don't take any note. That's an age, they tried to age her there. I don't like those because I don't think they're helpful, to be honest. Anyway, Oakley Carlson was 5 years old when say she disappeared, but she didn't disappear like Summer Wells disappeared, that one minute she was there and then she wasn't, and somebody phoned the police, to report her missing. So this is my first rant about this girl. That her parents never reported her missing. She just just gradually people realised she wasn't on the radar anymore. She was 5 years old. She disappeared in 2021 at some point. We don't know exactly when she disappeared because nobody reported her missing. So that's part of the rant about this. The bigger rant is this girl was safe at one point. She was with a foster mother, and the state declared that she had to be returned to her parents, which are these two twonks here, the mother and father. We're going to look at them, look at more Oakley, look at the life she had with her foster mum. She had a lovely life. She was happy. And the state decided, this is the real rant for me, the state decided that she should go back to these two drug addicts, horrible, horrible parents. And she had to go. She had to go. She had a lovely foster home, a lovely, lovely foster home, and she could not stay. She had to go back. Now, this is why I don't do child cases. I can feel myself getting really upset, and I'll get more upset as time goes on. The other rant I've got is why is this not maybe because I don't know. It's not like this case is not like the Summer Wells case where it's everywhere. Lots of people doing videos on it, in social media, or it's always in the public eye. Why? Why is there hardly any news about it? Now, maybe, the office, I don't know. It seems like the police probably think she is not alive anymore, bless her. And there's various reasons for that, which I'm going to tell you about as we go along. Mainly what her siblings have said. So, it's just awful. It's awful. So she disappeared. Her parents did not report her missing, and gradually it dawned on people that let's have a just look at this before we start. Let's just look at this missing poster. So Oakley was last seen in Grays Harbor County, just outside of Oakville, Washington. The exact date of her disappearance is unknown. She was discovered to be missing when a concerned neighbour requested a welfare check for her on December the 6th, 2021. Now, it says here her parents have both been charged with manslaughter, but she has not been located. Now, I didn't realise they'd been charged for it. But anyway, we'll see as we go along and investigate this case. This poor little girl. Honest to God, I hope there's a special place in hell for these kind of parents. I honestly do. I'm really struggling, to not hate them. Because you know what? It's bad enough when strangers do horrible things to people or children, especially. But their own parents, when your own parents, it's disgusting. I hope they're having a bad time in prison. That's all I can say. Okay, so that is little Oakley. Now we're going to look at some. Now, first thing I want to look at, this is the website, Justice for Oakley. Here she is, bless her, beautiful little girl. So welcome to the official website of Oakley Carlson. Oh, look at her little face there. Now, she would be 6 now, I think. Oakley is a 6-year-old girl who has been missing from Oakville, don't know what WA stands for, since February the 10th, 2021. She went missing while under the care of Jordan Bowers and Andrew Carlson. They are her parents. I think they're both her biological parents. Look how beautiful she is. How could they do something? Anyway, she has brown eyes and brown hair. She's 3 foot tall and weighs 50 pounds. There is currently a reward for information. Anyway, then it goes on to say how you can help. Printing her flyers, and they're available in Spanish as well. Distribute them in your community. Donate on the donation page. All donations are used as a reward for the information leading to her whereabouts. Okay, in lieu of the reward not being claimed or extended, the funds would then be used at the discretion of Jamie, Joe and Eric Hiles. I'm not sure who they are, if they're the foster parents or grandparents, I don't know. We'll find, I think that they're the foster parents. So examples include, it might be for service or headstone if necessary, or a college fund. I hope it's going to be a college fund. A scholarship in Oakley's name, a trust fund for her siblings, etc. Now it says here the reward expires on December the 6th, 2023. I'm not sure, that's nearly up. I'm not sure why that is. Anyway, you can also help by doing the following: sharing Oakley's story, request. These are things like, solicitations you can make. Now, these are merchandise you can buy, which helps to the reward. This is the age progression picture. I don't know why, I just never really like these. I mean, that's supposed to show at 6 years old. To me, that looks a lot older than 6. Anyway. Now, let's have a look at Oakley's disappearance. So she's a 6-year-old girl from Oakville, Washington. Last known credible sighting was on February the 10th, 2021. But sadly, she was not reported missing until 10 months later, on December the 6th, 2021. So where were the social services? They're the fucking social services that the state who made her go back to live with her biological parents, and then she disappeared from February to December, and no one checked where she was in that time. Prior to that time, there had been a fire at her house, and a school principal became concerned about her safety, so she called law enforcement and requested a welfare check. Her biological parents, Jordan Twat Bowers and Andrew Twat Carlson. Sorry, I know I wasn't supposed to be swearing, but I just can't help it. They refused to give any information on Oakley's whereabouts and what happened to her. Bowers and Carlson were both initially charged with 1 count of second-degree abandonment of a dependent child. This is not about Oakley, this is about their other child. For neglecting to give their 6-year-old daughter a prescribed medication, and 2 counts of endangerment with a controlled substance for exposing their then 6-year-old daughter and 2-year-old son to methamphetamine. Honourable Judge Savoda stated during the sentencing hearing, it's a father's job to protect their children. You certainly failed in that, Mr. Carlson. So he was sentenced to the maximum 12 months. So is that all you get? Is that all you get for child endangerment? 12 months. And he was, oh my God, it's getting worse. I've just warned you now. And he was released on August the 3rd, 2022, after serving less than 8 months. On April the 22nd, 2022, Bowers, that was the so-called mother, was sentenced to 20 months in prison for 2 counts of child endangerment with a controlled substance. I'm just wondering why she got longer than he did. Anyway, she was released from prison on January the 15th, 2023, but was immediately taken back into custody and booked on 3 counts of identity theft in the 1st degree and 1 count of identity theft in the 2nd degree in a case unrelated to little Oakley. On July 2023, she took a plea deal for the identity theft and was sentenced to 43 months in prison. Both Bowers and Carlson remain suspects in Oakley's disappearance and refuse to cooperate with law enforcement. Is he not in prison now then? Is he walking free? Please tell me no. Oakley spent from age 7 months to almost 3 years in foster care. Yes, with her loving foster parents, Jamie, Joe and Eric Kyle. So they're the people that have set up this website. They provided a safe and happy home where Oakley thrived. The Hiles, along with community members, raised concerns about her care to the Washington State Department of Children, Youth and Families many times throughout the years. And even after Oakley left their care, they feel as though their concerns were not taken seriously and were simply ignored. They are seeking answers for Oakley. So, according to police reports, court documents and news articles, while in Bowers and Carlson's care, Oakley was starved, physically abused, and locked in a cell as a form of punishment for bad behaviour. Oakley was taken from a safe and loving foster home and left in a home with child abuse, drug use, and what ultimately ended in a devastating story of a missing child. Until Oakley is found and brought home to the people who love her, we will continue to seek justice for Oakley. Okay. This is actually, funnily enough, this is the video that I've prepared for you, but I think I can play it. One of the videos that I've prepared for us to watch, but I can play it on here by the look of it.
Maybe it's the gray skies and prolific rainfall. The northwest part of Washington state can seem a dreary place at times, which is what made Oakley Carlson's beaming smile stand out even more.
Oh,
she was funny. She loved when we would laugh, so she was always just acting silly or doing things to make us laugh. And
Jamie Jo Hiles was Oakley's foster mother. She and her husband Eric had Oakley with them from the age of 7 months until just before her
I'll tell you something, thank God this child that had some happy times.
Third birthday.
Oakley, what are you eating? Pie?
Dance recitals, beaches, trick-or-treating, a normal, happy home.
It was just such a good bond. I felt like we were just such a good family. Like we felt like a nuclear family.
Then that bond was horribly broken when the state ordered that Oakley be reunified with her birth parents in 2019.
Jesus Christ.
But now, over 2 years later, Oakley is missing, not seen since February of last year. Her biological parents are behind bars in a Montesano, Washington jail.
Abandonment of a dependent.
They are, hopefully, unless it was just when this was taken, maybe they are still both in prison.
Seen since February of last year. Her biological parents are behind bars.
I mean, just look at that face. That's the mother. You can see there's drug abuse because of the state of her skin. And the same with the father. Just hurts me to think those were the faces that she was looking at. Those eyes were the eyes that she was looking into.
Bars in a Montesano, Washington jail.
Abandonment.
Another one with the bad skin from drug abuse. God, I hope they're having a bad time in prison. I just hope. Honest to God, you try for forgiveness, but it's very difficult in these cases, isn't it? Very difficult. That little dot, that little precious baby.
Of a dependent child, reckless endangerment with drugs.
The reckless endangerment charge is over withholding necessary medication meant for one of their other children. Sheriff's Deputy Kevin Schrader is part of a team of investigators looking for Oakley and looking into what may have happened to her.
You know, we were first aware of it in December 2021 when a family friend contacted us and they were concerned about, they've been to the location several times and had not seen Oakley, but have seen the other siblings that were there.
This was after a November 2021 house fire at the home where Oakley lived with her biological parents, Jordan Bowers and Andrew Carlson, and her 3 siblings in Oakville, Washington. It was then that Oakville school principal Jessica Swift noticed something was amiss.
Jordan had let us know that there was a fire, and so I'd gone out to check on them and offer support.
Is it possible she died in that fire, I wonder?
And drop off supplies from the school right after their fire. And I saw all the other kids running around and playing, and I didn't see Oakley. And I thought it was a little odd, and I asked where she was, and they told me that she was in her room in timeout.
So that was the first time that this teacher went. They said that she was on timeout in her room. But in the meantime, Oakley's sister had told her friend that Oakley didn't live with them anymore.
Then a few weeks later, another visit and no sign of the little girl. It was only when one of Oakley's siblings, a friend of Swift's daughter, was at the Swift's house.
On a play date with my daughter, with Oakley's sister, I asked questions about Oakley. It came out over the course of those questions that Oakley wasn't living with them anymore. I can't describe the feeling I had in that moment, sitting on that couch next to that little girl when she said that.
That December interaction was when Jessica knew it was time to escalate things.
Immediately contacted Grace Harbor Sheriff and got the ball rolling that way.
Processed the house, interviewed the children that were there at the house, and it had been some time since they had been seeing Oakley. Now they're young children and they can't, answer you directly, but it led us to believe that Oakley wasn't even there at the time of the fire, and it had been months prior to that.
Oh
that
my
any of the
goodness. So they reckon she wasn't there when the fire, so nothing happened during the fire, that they gathered that she actually hadn't been there for months. Gosh.
children had even seen her.
This smells of obstruction of justice, doesn't it?
Yes.
Investigators saw other obvious signs that Oakley had not been at the house.
We did not notice any bedroom set up for Oakley downstairs where everybody else had bedrooms set up.
On top of that, Schrader said they saw no clothing belonging to Oakley. The family had moved to a hotel in nearby Tumwater, but were back and forth to the house, raising another red flag.
Their vehicle that they...
But why? Why did no one notice for all those months that she was not there? Especially that they were, a family, I presume, under, as she'd been removed from them before. Surely they were under supervision.
They had left the Tumwater Hotel with and then traveled back down to Oakville, had one car seat in it. And there was a 2-year-old sibling as well as a 6-year-old sibling of Oakley that would have been in the car at that time.
To foster mom Jamie Jo Hiles, the revelation that Oakley was missing was a compounding heartbreak, forcing her to relive the day the smiling girl was taken from the safety of her foster home.
Hey, look, you can see when she's with the foster parents how happy she is, how well looked after she is. And they took her. The state took her from there and put her with those 2 druggies.
Last day she ever saw her.
We just chilled out on the couch, and then the driver picked her up at 10 o'clock. And I don't know if I've ever cried so hard in my life. She's happy because she gets to see her sister, but she's also kind of confused because why am I crying? Why is Dad crying?
And for Hiles, those tears have now turned to something else.
I am so angry. I am so angry. And I know
she's angry, she says, because it did not have to be this way.
Now I'm very angry at our social worker and at the state of Washington. Why have I reached out to people in government and haven't heard back yet?
But mostly she thinks about how it could have been different, how the horrors of
So nobody's answer. Oh, we know what that's like, isn't it? You know, you try and contact the powers that be, and they're not even answering over this little girl that she had to let go. I'm not surprised she's angry. I'll tell you, she's a better person than maybe Sappy going mental.
Alleged in police reports didn't have to happen.
I think about the abuse that happened, like hearing from the police reports about Oakley being starved.
What did it, Mama?
Or that she was beaten with a belt. Or that she was locked in a cabinet.
What is it? Can you tell me? It's cheese and what?
Cookie.
That's the stuff I think about before I go to sleep.
I think we'll come to a closure on this case.
If Oakley would have stayed in my care, that would have never have happened to her, ever.
I'm hopeful that Oakley...
Well, I don't know about you, but it's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult to watch this, I think. But yeah, so little Oakley, when she was going home, she was happy to see her sister. She wanted to see her sister. She couldn't understand why her foster mum and dad were crying. What did she walk into? What did she walk into?
is found and she's found alive, but there are, pieces inside of me that think that might not be reality, just given the investigation.
What sustains the Hiles is that whatever may have happened to Oakley for half of her still short life, they showed her what love was.
I hope that when she was scared, when she was locked in a cabinet, or when she was afraid about something, I hope that she remembered that, like, she had us.
Marnie, this story obviously is just so sad. I reached out to the lawyers for the biological parents of Oakley Carlson, Andrew Carlson and Jordan Bowers. Their lawyers said that they didn't want to speak. And we reached out to the Department of Children, Family, or Youth and Family here in Washington, and they're not able to speak. They're not able to even say to us that a child is in a foster home. And let me tell you something about that foster home. The concept of love is one of those things that's really difficult to describe, Marnie. But when I was in that home in Elma, Washington yesterday, the home that Oakley was able to call home for those 2.5 years, you did feel love. I mean, it was in the air. And that is what makes this so tragic, is that she was really taken from that place and put into a place, and we don't know what has happened to her. Marnie.
And you could see that love on her face in those home videos of her talking.
Look, I'm sorry, this is a very hard thing to watch, isn't it? So I'm sorry, but it's important. I can see why my subscriber was saying, I don't understand why this case doesn't get the same coverage that the Summer Wells case gets. Why, and I really, I do sort of vaguely remember the name, but I've never really seen much about this. So I'm glad they suggested it, but it's a hard thing to watch. These are hard to watch.
and laughing and smiling. Michael, there's so much that is troubling about this and heartbreaking about Oakley's disappearance. I think one of the things that stands out is it was 10 months since Oakley was last seen, but we only learned about her disappearance 2 months ago. The big question is, how does something like that happen? How does she go undetected for so long?
Yeah.
Exactly, right? A 5-year-old. How do you not know that a 5-year-old, or at that time, 4-year-old,
And not only that, but a 5-year-old or a 4-year-old under the care of the state should have been under supervision. They've just given her back to these nightmare parents. And then they've just like, oh yeah, they'll be fine. She'll be fine.
it is not even seen for such a long period of time. Well, for one thing, Oakley was not enrolled in the Oakville school where all of these kids and these teachers are. One of the principals that we spoke to, a principal there at the Oakville school, she wasn't enrolled there. You don't even have to be in the state of Washington. You're not mandated to be enrolled in school until you're 8 years old. So her absence from school wasn't something that would have been recorded. Again, though, there were grandparents who hadn't seen her, and there should have been, the families are saying there should have been some oversight during that period if she was put in reunified with her family and they knew that there were problems with that family. She should have been.
She just looks so happy, doesn't she? On every single photo, she's smiling.
Monitored more closely. That's what Jamie Jo Hiles is trying to do now, is to make sure that this monitoring happens in a more concentrated way and certainly in a more effective way.
Wow. And people didn't know that gap of time she was missing, but they sure know now, not just in that area and across the state of Washington, but across the country. Michael, this has generated so much interest. A moment ago, I said at home, we have received multiple requests over the last couple of months to cover this case in our missing series. People out there care about this little girl.
Yeah, and it's not hyperbole to say that we've gotten so many requests to cover this story. It's active on Twitter. There are people that spend every day in this community, but just also in the sort of wider national and international even community, saying that we have to keep our eyes on this story so that we find out what happened to Oakley. The police here, the police in Montesano that we met with yesterday, they have 5 people who are full-time dedicated to this every day, looking into what may have happened, combing over cell phone records, trying to see if they can get one of those 2
So I expect there's a lot going on, as always, behind the scenes. Thing is, a little tiny girl like that, the body's quite easy to hide, I would imagine. You know, and we've said before, big place like America with lots of, you know, it's like looking for a needle in a haystack. So if they do manage to find her, whatever's happened to her, I bloody hope they do. There's justice for Oakley.
Biological parents to turn against the other so that they can find out the full story of what happened there. But none of this, as you said, Marnie, happens without all of.
Yeah, that's always a possibility, isn't it? That one of the parents, this might happen in the Summer Wells case, that one of the parents might turn against the other.
The interest from the people who follow these cases and the people who asked us to do what we're doing here tonight.
And
they're like a horror show, aren't they? So that little girl was taken out of that safe, beautiful home that she had where she was loved and put in the home with them. And these 2 faces will have been the last faces that she saw. If she's not still alive, which, you know, with the best will in the world, you cannot see that she is. Little girls that can't survive for 10 months on their own. Just that would have been the faces she was looking into. Horrible, hateful people.
Michael, real quickly, what do we know about these parents and also Oakley's siblings? Where are they
Load of
tonight?
twats.
The siblings are in foster homes and the parents are in jail. They're in jail on an interesting charge. They're going to be in front of a judge in April 19th. They go before the court, but they're in jail on reckless endangerment because they did not give prescribed medicine to one of their other children. It was a way to get them arrested. First, there was a manslaughter charge that was dropped. They're not in jail for anything having to do with Oakley, but they're in jail so that they can find out what did happen to Oakley.
They just looking in their faces, all I see is evil. Really, honestly, truthfully, evil. It's not the drugs that made them do whatever they've done. They're evil.
Well, it's
Right.
possible she is out there and someone will recognize her. Michael Schur, we appreciate your reporting.
It's possible, but unfortunately, it's not very likely, is it? Anyway, so right now, let's have a look. That was the one, that's the video I've just showed you. Okay, so this was Jordan Bowers, the mother. She she was released on the reckless endangerment case and then rearrested immediately on an identity theft charge. So let's have a look at that. Honestly, I'm not a violent person, but when I see her face, I just want to punch her right in the face. Oh. 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 Should hope so. Oh, she's a lovely woman, isn't she? She's so lovely. So it looks like what she's been doing is, manipulating people and stealing their identity. Oh, look. Oh, there you go. That's answered something. I was thinking that because when I was doing the research for it, and I was thinking, he's out. He's out. He was been released this year. She was rearrested because of the identity fraud, but he is out, just roaming around. So doesn't anyone care about this little girl then, apart from the foster mother? Nobody, what's being done? What's being done? Okay, so here he is, the nice guy. This, I think this is just an article in the American Sun. Got a horrible, hateful face. Oh my God. How could those two look at her and look at him And they create this beautiful little girl, and she's all smiley. So he's not allowed to have contact with anyone under the age of 18 except his children. Please don't tell me he's allowed to see his children. Anyway, he said he regretted his failing as a father before sentencing. He only regretted it because he got caught. I haven't done a lot of things correctly for the past 7 years or so, he said. I'm ready to turn that around. And if I can't be a father to my children, I can at least be an example that they look at and say that I did the right thing. You did the right thing, did you? Okay. Right, I'm getting too angry with that. Let's have a look at something else. Well, this is a video, I think, of the mother and her rearrest. We'll be right back. Oh, don't know what that is, sorry. Well, I thought it was a video, but it's not a video, sorry. Anyway, so in Gig Harbor, Washington, Jordan Bowers, the mother of missing 5-year-old girl, Oakley Carlson, was arrested for arrested for identity theft and fraud minutes after being released from prison on Sunday. So that's what's happened. So he's free. She was rearrested. Now, so then in the meantime, these court documents have come out, which give details of the alleged abuse of this poor little angel.
It's frustrating that we're not further along in finding the answers that we want. It's not for lack of trying.
We are learning disturbing new details about the disappearance of Oakley Carlson. She has not been seen alive since February 2021, when she was just 5 years old. Reports from the Department of Children, Youth, and Families show she was kept locked in a cell under stairs at their home. Thank you for joining us at 7 o'clock. I'm Jessica Janner Castro. King 5's Kristen Goodwillie is in Grays Harbor County tonight, where Oakley's mother was sentenced today in a different case.
Jordan Bowers was sentenced to 43 months for theft and identity theft, according to the Grays Harbor Sheriff's Office. This case is a result of the investigation into missing Oakley Carlson. Advocates for Oakley were in court today, but say the bigger story here is that new report. It's been almost 2 years.
Say lasagna.
Since then, 5-year-old Oakley Carlson went missing.
Waking up every day since December 6, 2021, and thinking, is today the day that I'm going to get a call?
Jamie Jo Hiles was Oakley's foster mom for 2.5 years.
She loved people and people loved her.
In 2019, the state ordered the return of Oakley to her biological parents, Jordan Bowers and Andrew Carlson. In December 2021, the Grays Harbor Sheriff's Office opened an investigation into the child's disappearance.
That hole in my heart and that concern for Oakley was there the minute she left. We would play with bubbles.
Hiles called DCYF twice out of concern for Oakley, and now a published opinion this month in the Court of Appeals outlines the state's response to allegations of abuse for Oakley and her siblings. And Hiles isn't the only one to call.
There were 11 calls from 2013 to 2021. Which one of those was ignored that could have saved Oakley and her siblings?
Of the 11 calls, DCYF said it investigated 8 of them. The calls alleging domestic violence, physical abuse, parental drug use, and medical.
So they had 11 calls, 11 warnings that they took no notice of. I can't even rant because I just cannot believe it. So since 2013, the department has received 11 intakes regarding this family, 8 of which have been screened in for allegations of domestic violence, physical abuse, parental drug use and medical neglect, but they left that little girl there to disappear. They just left her there, discussing that all should be tried for this. When it, why they're not being, arrested now, and I suppose they haven't got enough fucking evidence. But when they've got evidence, if this little girl has died as a result of those horrible parents, all of them, the courts as well, they should, the department here that's ignored those calls, they should be prosecuted.
Neglect. The documents also outline some of the abuse Oakley allegedly endured.
There's a lot of abuse, unfortunately, happening. The cell underneath the stairs.
Siblings said Oakley was kept in a locked cell underneath the stairs and that their mother physically abused Oakley and another sibling.
When you read those reports about the abuse that she suffered, how can you not let your mind think?
One of the siblings has said that she was attacked by wolves. That's probably what the parents told her.
About dark things.
Our investigation is all about Oakley. Where's Oakley and what happened to her and why don't we know where she's at?
Chief Paul Logan says it's frustrating.
All of the detectives, the entire division, we work on this case every week. We have avenues of investigation that we're still working on that are independent of anything that we've done in court.
I wear a bracelet every day that says hope on it.
She still fights for the young girl she helped raise.
I just want justice.
Jordan Bowers is the only one who tried to keep these documents sealed. They were published on August 1st of this year. Here in Grays Harbor, I'm Kristen Goodwillie, King 5 News.
Oof. Well, I know this has to be, it has to be publicized. It has to be publicized because this little girl has got to be found, but it's hard. It's hard work, isn't it? The court documents are available online. I found them, but I'm not going to read out the whole thing. But, if you want to read them, they are available online. This was when she was, I think we've just watched that one. Let's have a look.
Investigators say Oakley Carlson's parents have not been helpful in the search for their daughter since her disappearance in 2021. But many people are hopeful now that the little girl's mother is sentenced to prison for a separate case. 43 months in prison for Jordan Bowers.
She targeted vulnerable victims. She took advantage. She really has not in any meaningful way taken responsibility. So it merits a sentence at the top of the standard range. It's all
sentenced for stealing nearly $27,000 in multiple cases of identity theft. The court hearing is the first time Bowers and Jamie Jo Hiles are face to face since the disappearance of Oakley Carlson.
I'm very angry. I want her to sense my anger.
Hiles is the former foster mother of Oakley. She cared for the little girl for 2.5 years as the Department of Children, Youth, and Families investigated allegations of abuse against Bowers and Oakley's father, Andrew Carlson. But DCYF reunified Oakley with her biological family, something Hiles says she warned the state about.
That's one thing that we fought so hard against with DCYF before Oakley was returned is we were like, we understand that reunification is the goal of foster care. If she's going to be reunified with her biological parents, please don't make it so quick. So please don't rush this.
Oakley has not been seen since February 2021. Hiles says recently released court records confirm concerns about Oakley's safety before her disappearance. In a Washington Court of Appeals opinion, it says investigators interviewed Oakley's sister, who said Oakley started a house fire with Bowers' torch and was beaten for it. The sister also told detectives Oakley was under Bowers' bed and in the woods, where Bowers says she was eaten by wolves.
Eaten by wolves.
The older sister had said that Oakley had been locked in a cabinet or starved or beaten. And so, unfortunately, those are things that I've had to live with.
Concerns Hiles says she warned DCYF about, afraid of Oakley going back home to her parents.
Because I couldn't do anything myself. I couldn't do anything for Oakley because we don't have any rights as foster parents. But now I can hold people accountable. Now I can say, I told you that something wasn't right. I told you that this was wrong. and you ignored me, and now my girl's missing.
Now Hiles is calling out DCYF for not doing enough to protect Oakley.
We need to make sure that we change the entire system so that like kids aren't falling through the cracks like Oakley did.
Accountability is also what some DCYF members want in their leadership. They're represented by the Washington Federation of State Employees on a...
No, it just makes you wonder how often this happens. You know, maybe not with the same results, but
petition for a vote of no confidence in Secretary Ross Hunter. The petition says Hunter has perpetuated misinformation about the work they do to protect children, contributing to a negative reputation of child welfare. If there are enough votes from DCYF members, the union will present the petition to the governor, urging Hunter's removal. Reporting from Grays Harbor County Courthouse, Frankie Thompson, Fox 13 News.
So, just awful, isn't it? So that's it. That's the story so far of Oakley Carlson. So her father is just, you know, roaming free, doing whatever. Her mother is in prison. But, you know, where is Oakley? Where is she? And are they going to eventually be found? Now, maybe her mum will get a bit peed off because she's stuck in prison while he's off, you know, doing whatever. So you do feel in this case that that's when maybe things might come out, you know, if he started seeing someone else, or maybe she will turn on him and start talking about what really happened. But let's hope that one day. The trouble is then she's incriminating herself even more, isn't she? So she's in prison for another year. If she starts talking about Oakley, then she's never coming out of prison, is she? Depending on what happened, unless she then just sort of throws him under the bus and blames it all on him and makes another plea deal. So anyway, that's it. So I'm sorry that's quite a difficult thing to watch. But I think it's important that it's highlighted about this little girl, this lovely little girl. So prayers out. You know, it's hard to send prayers because you can't, it's hard to have hope, isn't it, for Oakley? But we shouldn't give up hope. But anyway, so remember to always live and love very wisely, very carefully. And I'll see you really soon in the next video. Until then, may your God go with you. Bye.